welcome back to my channel. I am Career Culture. Welcome if you're new here. Today I don't have only one, I have two special guests on the Insight series, and today we'll be discussing all things apprenticeship. Here we have Sade, who works in professional services at a big four company, and here we have Paige, who works at the UK's largest transport network. So let's get into it. First question, why did you choose to do an apprenticeship rather than go to university?
Should I go take it away, Charlotte?
Yeah, go for it.
I think for us, at the time we knew that we wanted more from education alone. And it's funny because we never attended a university open day. Like, we applied for UCAS, we went through the entire process, but I think the concept of earning whilst being able to learn and being able to get the exposure of like real valuable work experience, I think that's what really sold it for myself personally. Yeah, and I think for me, I knew if I went to university, I would have to go back into my company and then do the ACA.
Yeah.
Whereas after 6 months, I was able to go straight into it and just start the ACA straight away. So for me, it was like, why not fast track it? Why delay the whole process?
Oh, so you kind of always knew you wanted to do the ACA?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you have a degree alongside of your apprenticeship, actually.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. So it's a 4-year apprenticeship scheme. Monday to Thursday I work full-time for the organisation, and then on Friday I'm released for my university studies. So yeah, that's it.
Whereas yours, you only get a qualification
at the end, yeah.
But that qualification is very, very
good. It goes a long way
to be a chartered accountant.
Yeah,
okay, good. How did you prepare for the apprenticeship, the application process, and what were the necessary requirements for you to be able to even apply?
Yeah. I think in terms of applying for the interview, that was quite difficult because you're not really prepared in sixth form or college, you know, what you need to be equipped with for an interview. So for me, that was really challenging. But what I used to do after every interview, I used to ask for feedback, and I would develop on that feedback that they gave me for the next interview. So that was like a self-development point for myself. The requirements, you had to have a minimum of, I think it was minimum 3 A-levels and minimum CCB, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for myself, I think it was just to ensure that I had like a robust CV. I think that was the main sort of preparation that I ensured that I had, and then the rest sort of followed through after that. In terms of the requirements, it was 3 A-levels at level B or equivalent. But yeah, I guess it was preparation. I think it was difficult because sixth forms, all colleges, like the preparation's more for UCAS and doing the UCAS form. But yeah, I think that was our main sort of protocol.
So how did you like navigate that? Because I remember you telling me you're going to do an apprenticeship, and I was just like, what the heck is that even? Because back when we were at sixth form especially, like it's not a thing that people would do. You just go to university, get your degree, and then figure out life from there.
Yeah, precisely.
What did you do to research your apprenticeships or find out about them?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think, as you said, in sixth form, it was frowned upon to a certain extent. And I think it was a lot of research, especially online. There are like websites called like Not Going to University or Top 100 Apprentices, and they essentially list all the apprenticeships and they rank them with a classification. So that was the main way that we sort of found out about different companies that offered apprenticeships, because I think people tend to assume that you're doing an apprenticeship if you're going to do a vocational subject like plumbing or electrician. So using those platforms, it was quite helpful to sort of navigate sort of what was out there and what employers are offering an apprenticeship. I think for me, especially during sixth form, I'd look at like finance companies that I knew I wanted to get into. And I'd always look at the grad requirements. So I remember looking for grad roles, and I just saw apprenticeships or like, you know, experience hire, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I literally just clicked the link and just found out more about apprenticeships.
Oh, so that you didn't have to go to university and do okay, that makes sense. What is the application process like?
Okay, good question.
How many did you apply to, like, spill all the dish? Give us the dish.
I applied to so many. I remember the first one, and they told me no, and I felt like crying. But I just know they said just work on your interviews, and I knew that what was letting me down. But my application process, you had to basically submit a form online saying what you know about the company, and there was a question that said, tell me about a time that, you know, the company X has been in the news. After you've done that stage, you went through to a maths and English test.
Oh, your reasoning test.
Yeah, and then you had, it was a digital one, so technically I would record myself. I had a live camera in front of me, and they would literally throw questions. And I remember I was in Jamaica at the time, and I got my auntie's shirt and I put it on because I didn't know, you know, I wasn't that prepared. And then after that, it was like a group interview and then a one-on-one interview with the manager.
And then you got it.
And then I got it,
Wow, that is so good.
Yeah, I think we applied for so many apprenticeship schemes. Like the company that I'm with now, that was the last company that I applied for.
Yeah, that was the same for me.
I was like, this is it. And I was like,
yeah.
And I think like that's the importance, is like having resilience. Like you will get knocked, and it's about picking yourself up.
Yeah.
Learning about what it is. Yeah, learning about what it is and just improving, because it's not that there's something wrong with you. It's just about how you answer a question. Do you get what I mean? How you navigate. Yeah, exactly. And in terms of the recruitment process, so you had to upload your CV, you had to do a numeracy and literacy test. You then had to do a video interview, and my phone was upside down. I quickly turned it over. I was like, this is great. So yeah, my phone was upside down in the beginning. You then got invited in, if successful, and you had to do 2 group interviews and then an interview with like one of the managers. So quite a few different processes essentially, but it was good. It was a good learning opportunity, like regardless.
Would you say that the process is hard? Like once you start getting your interviews locked in, how is that process from there? After you've submitted your application, you've done your test, they're like, we want to meet you in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's hard. I think it's more intimidating.
Yeah.
Because you're you know, essentially
such high expectations, isn't it?
Yeah, you're this. I like to think you're like a baby. You're going into this massive company, and you have. Well, I had no expectations. I just had these really like pretty lifts. Like I was just stunned by any and anything. So yeah, I think it was more intimidating for me. What about you, Sade?
No, I think definitely intimidating. Like I remember when I went for one of the interviews in Canary Wharf, and I stepped out of the underground and I looked up and I was like, oh my god. And I was like, you know, as patients, I think you definitely feel intimidated. I think that's the one word I'd use to sum it all up.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I think what people want to know, apprentices, what do you do on your day?
Okay. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. I think the first thing I'm going to say, all the stigmas around photocopying, making copies, I've never done any of that. That's not what we do. You get proper work. You know, like from my company that I work in, you get to rotate between different service lines between every 6 to 9 months. So what I do on a day-to-day will vary, but you know, a lot of the times I'm based on certain projects, you know, and you get real exposure. You know, you get to work with directors, with partners. You aren't treated and put to the side, you know, you're really supported along. But yeah, day-to-day, you're just assisting with projects and yeah, checking emails. It doesn't sound that glam, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true as well. Like as Sade said, like you work on projects, you might be writing the business case. There's a whole breadth of what it is that you're doing. You might be working with stakeholders. The degree of what it is that you could be doing is so large. Like it's hard to sort of like detail it down. But as Sade said, essentially, it's not tea making, it's not coffee making. You're really stuck in, and you feel like really part of the team as well. They don't treat you as an apprentice. And it's quite phenomenal just saying like or think of the things that I've worked on within the organisation and being so young. It just goes to show like what it is that you really get sort of stuck into.
And yours is a degree apprenticeship. And actually, to be fair with you, you have to study for exams as well. Where do you begin? How do you blend that in?
Yeah, it's such a good question, and I think in the beginning of my apprenticeship scheme, I remember saying to my manager, I said, I feel like I'm drowning. Like I feel like my head is just above the water. It's so, because you come from A-levels, and A-levels are incredibly hard, but preparing you to enter this world of work and then to take on this degree or whatever qualification that you are doing is so difficult. And I think over time I've learned just to be more disciplined, and I think that's the thing, is being disciplined. My time management is, well, maybe not today, but my time management overall is like really disciplined. Like, and I think that is the beauty of it, is like as a person I've grown so much. And again, just being able to to be resilient and sort of push forward. Because I think it would have been easy to say, I can't do this, like I'm going to university, but yeah, it's just going with it and pushing forward, and they wouldn't make it if it was impossible to do, essentially.
Because you came from A levels, you've been pushed into real adult life, and it's just like, what? Who am I? What am I doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely. I think building on what Paige said, I think it's a lot about time management. You've got a 9 to 5 job, and then somewhere between these hours you have to find time to revise and do the exams, and it's about making the right choices as well. Sometimes when I go out with your friends, you have to say, you know, I can't do it. It is the harsh reality, but
discipline.
Yeah, it's being really disciplined, you know, managing those expectations. But you know, as Paige said, it's not impossible. It can be done. It's just about that discipline.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the reason why people opt to go to university is because you're around everyone your own age, right? Like, everyone you're going to be with is at least between 2 to 3 years of your age range. And you get that social aspect. You get to go out and party.
It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday.
So how do you meet people around your age? What do you do to get out there, be social, and have that balance in your life?
So within every organisation, like as an apprentice, you're part of a larger community, and essentially that's sort of where I've sort of met most of my friends is within that sort of cohort. More broadly speaking, like in the organisation, they try to reach with external companies where there are other apprentices, and alongside that, like my university, like there are people from like other different companies, and like that's a lovely networking opportunity. But again, I've been able to meet friends there, so you're not necessarily like isolated as such. There's still scope to meet people. So yeah, that's how I sort of formulated it with like networking groups and with university as well. Where I work, we joined with a cohort. There was a cohort, I believe it's 150 in my year, so in that already you've already got a circle, and it almost feels like a year group. You know, and I remember when we started there were so many socials, especially exclusive to apprentices, and then you join it with grads, and within your team as well there are always socials. So I think in terms of finding people your similar age group is very easy. You know, you remember people from the joining day, you're like, oh my gosh, hi, I haven't seen you.
So you've done it. What advice could you give to year 13s watching this right now, or anyone that wants to take on an apprenticeship? What are your top tips that you would give to them?
Should we bounce off each other and do this? I think one thing, definitely research the company, research the industry, and make sure that it's the right fit for you in terms of the qualifications, you know, they support you. That's my first tip. But yeah, I think my next tip would be is to weigh up your options. So get a pen and paper, put university and an apprenticeship on the other side, and do a what's it called? Pros and cons, yeah, precisely, and then like weigh up the options there. So like echoing what Sade said, weigh up your options and do your research as well. I think also for me, what I did, I applied to university, I got a confirmation at university, and I deferred my placement for a year, and then I basically done a trial year at my company, and I said if I don't like this apprenticeship, I'll always go back. So I thought up a plan B just in case I didn't like it. So think of a plan B. Also on that note, apply for more than one apprenticeship. I think
to learn it.
Yeah, you'd be quite naive to only apply for 1 or 2. Apply for about 7 or 8, and what you'll learn is throughout the process you'll make minor tweaks like to your CV, to your cover letter, and you'll become better like in terms of doing interviews. So apply for more than one apprenticeship scheme. Practice your interview techniques. If that's even with your teacher, you know, with your friends, just practice them. Go online. You should also have like such a range of tips that you can use, but practice your interview techniques definitely. And I think my final one would probably be research the company. So as we said before, the website Not Going to University, look at that website, really research the company, and I think ensure that the company that you're applying for represents your own values, because I think that's the only way you're going to get a win-win out of it. If that company like thinks, or they operate the way how you as a person think, or what the things that you value.
You went from studying very intensely for A-levels, right, to the big wide world. What do you wish you knew before you entered it? How did you feel when you entered it? How did you navigate that space?
I think...
Should I start?
I mean, I think for me it was overwhelming at first. I think I was talking to Paige and we used to ask questions like, can I go to the toilet? Can I go for my lunch? Because
you don't know.
Yeah. It is a lot. I think, I was definitely overwhelmed. How did you feel? Yeah, I think I was definitely overwhelmed. Like, there's so much to learn, and I think if I could tell myself anything, it would be that no question is a silly question. I remember when I first got asked to attend a meeting and to take the minutes, and I said to my manager about like the clocks on the wall, like, but minutes is what you take, like it's the itinerary essentially for the meeting. So no question is a silly question, and treat everyone like your parents, your friends' parents. Like, they might seem scary, but like imagine them like your best friend's mum. Yeah, I think that's what I wish I sort of had that approach, and just be open and ask so many questions, because they really appreciate you coming in with this new perspective, this new insight, and just asking all of the questions.
Yeah, and I think definitely be curious, and that's my main thing. Be curious, and if you're doing something, ask side questions. So why do we do it this way? You know, show that you're interested and you're not just there for the 9 to 5 and to go home.
Precisely.
You know, don't feel intimidated, especially if you're working with your managers or your directors. Just see them as your friends' parents. I think that's the nicest way to put it. Everyone's human, and you know, everyone's really supportive.
Yeah, precisely.
What is one pro and one con of your apprenticeships, or just apprenticeships you feel like in general?
I think for me, a pro is that you work and you earn and you study simultaneously, so you do all three at one time. I think one of the cons to me is you don't get a 6 weeks holiday, you don't get Easter holiday. It is 9 to 5, and you get, 28 to 30 days off a year. Personally, that's the only con I can find for me.
You've had that since
from sixth form.
It
was a big like wake up call to the adult world. But yeah, that's the only con I can think of.
Because like for university students, we had like 3 months off in summer.
Don't go out.
How about you?
I think the pro would be the networks of the people that you're able to meet. I think that's definitely the biggest advantage of doing an apprenticeship. In terms of the con, I would say you're sort of rushed into work. Like, if I sit back and sort of reflect, I think, okay, but am I going to be working until retirement? Like, do I want to sort of go into it too early? I think there's that question there, but I think I've already thought, okay, I'll probably just take a break and go travelling. I think that's the only con I've thought of, like, because I spend most of my life working, because I went straight into it. But that's the only con that I can sort of think of personally.
And that's a wrap. So thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And I hope you guys have a lovely weekend. I will catch you in the next one.
Bye.